This is NBC6 In Focus, a weekly program about events in the two Virginias.
And good Sunday morning, everyone. I'm Leanne Long. Thanks for joining us this Sunday morning. And my guests joining me here in the studios, Robert Perry and Jim Godwin. You're both past presidents of the Rotary Club of Bluefield, West Virginia. I just want to start out, for some people who may not be familiar with the Rotary Club, what is the Rotary Club and what do you guys do?
Well, Rotary actually is basically an organization of business people. And in the beginning, the Rotary Club was formed for the purpose of, for example, it could have been made up of a butcher, baker, and a candlestick maker, and a lawyer. Well, all the butcher, baker, and candlestick makers, these three guys did business with the lawyer. The lawyer did his business. It was set up for each person to be dependent on other people within the group. And as time went on, it grew and became a charitable organization too. So I'd say today its biggest, one of its biggest things is charity and working in worthwhile projects in, for example, undeveloped countries. Mm-hmm. However, we can't overlook the fact that we do transact business among our members. And that's a very important part of the program too. So these are the basic things that Rotary does.
And it is an international organization. There are 32,000 chapters around the world. And Rotary, one of the highest profile projects that Rotary's had is the eradication of polio. Mm-hmm. It's been very prominent in that.
And they've been working with that. I know I was talking earlier with Charlotte, who's going to be on here in a little bit, talking about that program. And the Rotary Club just recently got a lot of money from another famous organization to help out. Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you're talking about the Bill Gates. Yes. I'm not aware of the details of that. I know that he did make this significant gift.
$100 million.
Yeah.
Wow. That's great.
That will be used in this project around the world, and it's a very worthwhile thing.
Absolutely.
But Rotary's involved in a number of other types of worldwide projects as well.
All right.
One of the things that we try to do, or that Rotary does try to do, and that is to develop understanding among peoples. And to that end, we have a number of programs that are involved in bringing people from other countries to Bluefield, or to West Virginia, or to the United States, and sending people from here to other places. And so this interchange among people is part of what they're trying to do insofar as peacemaking is concerned.
Mm-hmm. So the Rotary Club really is reaching out across the world, but I want to take a step back and find out exactly where it started, how it started.
It started in Chicago in 1905, I believe. The original founder was a man named Paul Harris. He started out with a group of 5 men from 5 different walks of life, so to speak, and it grew from there. By 1918, when which just 13 years later, when our club in Bluefield was formed, there were chapters in many countries around the world by that time.
Wow, so it all started with one guy out in Chicago.
Yes.
Absolutely, that's great. And now it obviously has so much reach across not only the country, across the world, as we were saying. I have to imagine then, if it started back in 1905, there's descendants and people who were part of the families of those founding members that are probably members as well of the Rotary Club.
I'm sure they are. I think we could probably speak more accurately for our club here in Bluefield, and certainly there are members today who are great-grandsons or great-great-grandsons of we had 18 original founders, charter members here in Bluefield. And they were a very prominent group of men. They were from different, they were merchants. One man owned a jewelry store. There were several attorneys, a pharmacist, a hotel owner, a Baptist minister. But I think probably one of the key characteristics that they all brought to the table was that they were people who were very involved in the community. They wanted to give of themselves to make the community a better place.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting point about this whole thing is that I don't even know I can't remember what my classification is, but each member has a classification. It used to be a very strict thing. For example, you could have in the club, you could have only one insurance agent, you could have only one banker, you could have only one lawyer, you could have only one whatever. And that went on throughout all of it, one filling station owner, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then they expanded that a little bit and came along with additional, like you had a banker. Okay. You could have what was known as an additional active, be another banker, but he would be under this banker.
Mm-hmm.
If the top banker quit, the other guy was pitched out of the club too and had to reapply. I mean, it was real complicated.
But it's not like that today.
Well, today it's on a percentage basis. Only 10% of your membership can be, say, bankers, or only 10% can be whatever. It's to maintain that roundabout situation where you're doing you can do business with all different kinds of people within a club.
And to foster friendships and camaraderie among those individuals.
Absolutely. So how do you become a member of the Rotary Club?
Well, usually a person is asked, but certainly if anyone who had an interest in it could make themselves known to any member or officer of the club, and they would certainly be strongly considered. A person is they're voted on by the board of directors, and that's not a problem.
All right, and if there's already the 10%, do you have to hold off?
I think we can find a classification for just about anybody who really wants to be in Rotary.
All right, and I want to make sure that we get up the web address that people can go and find out some more information about the Rotary Club of Bluefield. That is www.rotary-bluefield.org, right there on your screen, and that of course has all the information about the Bluefield Rotary Club, what you guys do, members and things like that. So that's definitely something that would be great to check out and learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing, not only here in Bluefield, but across the world.
The site also has a link to Rotary International's site, and you can go right on to there and learn probably more than you want to know. But,
go ahead.
That's all I was going to say.
Well, I was going to back up just 1 second. As part of preparing for this, our 90th anniversary of our club, one of my tasks was to compile a biography of each of these 18 initial charter members. These biographies are on the website as well and can be read by anybody. There are names that certainly will be well recognized today, like Goody Kuntz and Easley. Thornton, which was the Thornton's department store. Anybody a little bit older would certainly remember that.
So definitely a lot of history.
Yes, exactly.
And people who are very influential in this area, in this community, for sure. All right, well, we want to talk a little bit more about that history. We're going to take a quick break, but talk a little bit about what exactly was happening in Bluefield, West Virginia when the Rotary was formed back in 1918. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. More about what was going on when Rotary was founded.
Mic check, 2, 3, 4.
And welcome back, and we have a new guest joining us here on stage, Charlotte Sacre. Thank you so much for stopping by. You are the president-elect of the Rotary Club in Bluefield, so definitely glad to have you here. And we were talking right before the break that this is the 90th anniversary of the Rotary Club here in Bluefield. You guys obviously have some big celebrations planned. I want to take a step back in time, though, and talk a little bit about what life was like in Bluefield back in 1918.
Well, Bluefield was a tremendously prosperous city at that time. Bluefield was the financial hub or the business hub of all of the coal activity from the coal fields. The town was very rapidly growing from 1890 to I think 1940 or the mid-30s. The population doubled every 10 years in Bluefield. And it's interesting, I'm research deeds of property and that sort of thing as a hobby, and I noticed that in this 1918 period, a house that sold for one price this year, the next year it might sell for 50% more.
Wow.
Just a huge increase in values at that time.
Absolutely. I think we have some pictures here. Show you a little bit of life in 1918.
Yes, that is showing College Avenue right at the foot of the hill. Right in the middle of the photograph there, you can see a streetcar, and there was a very good transit system of streetcars in Bluefield at that time. That streetcar is getting ready to turn left on Jefferson Street because the street did not extend up the hill to where Little Caesar's Pizza would be, or up to Bland Street. That was still a few years away. You'll notice a goodly number of houses that were already being built, and like I say, this is South Bluefield. The original part of the town was on the north side of town, but it was already beginning to very rapidly spread out into, my grandparents came to Bluefield in 1918 and bought a home in that neighborhood just a couple of blocks away from that picture right there.
Oh, that is really neat. What about this one here?
Okay, that is looking over toward the Fairview School, which doesn't stand anymore. There's a park there today, and College Avenue is the street in the foreground. On the right is East River Avenue, and anybody who does know that neighborhood will recognize from there.
Absolutely. I have that one.
That
is a little hard to see.
I hope that'll show up. That is made from the top of the hill where College Avenue and Bland Street intersect. That picture was probably made around 1906 or 7, and it shows College Avenue, but there's not a single house down the left-hand side of College Avenue and just a very few houses on the right-hand side. But that picture was made from just about where Little Caesar's Pizza is today, and everybody seems to know where that is.
Oh, yes. Everyone certainly has probably at least driven by if they haven't stopped in. And let's talk a little bit, as we talked before, about the founding members, as we have another picture up here. You've done a lot of research and recent biographies about the founding members. Tell us a little bit, if you can, just a little bit of an insight of their lives.
Well, one very interesting person is, his name was C.L. Borden, and something that was unique about him, he started a business that still exists here in Bluefield today, and that's Citizens Lumber Company. And the business passed down to his granddaughter and her husband and her son. Carl Thomas and Tripper Thomas run that business today. I think that's very interesting that business has been there for over 100 years now. Goody Kuntz, of course, the Goody Kuntz family doesn't actually own the Goody Kuntz pharmacy today, but the name still carries on. J.T. Thornton was an individual who had stores. Thornton Department Store was one of the anchors downtown for many, many years.
All right. And definitely a lot of names people recognize.
Yes, Hugh Ike Schott, and I the reason I don't have his, because Tom Colley did that. It is in that magazine you have there.
Right, and that you're talking about is a recent insert that was
Yes.
done just completely about the Rotary.